Hello, my name is Jason Lodge, and this is my individual research project for the last year of my computer games programming studies at the University of Gloucestershire. For this project, I made a Unity developer tool called Data Analytics Visualization. The main idea behind it is to record player behavior data, store it structurally, export it, and then visualize it spatially inside the Unity editor. So rather than being something the player sees, this is a tool for developers to inspect behavior after data has been captured. The current visual is a point cloud shown in the scene view. The point can be colored in different ways, including by event type, variable, and lifetime. Lifetime color is especially useful because it shows how behavior changes across a session using time since the session had started. It also includes a scene view overlay, which lets the developer load XML data, choose sessions, change display settings, and inspect individual points in more detail using the label display. So overall, the tool shows a workflow from gameplay event logging to visual analysis. To install, first we go up to the top menu bar, into Window, into Package Management, and then into the Package Manager. In here, we want to go to the little plus icon in the top left, and there are 4 different ways to install a package. I will only be showing you 2, which is install from disk and install from git URL. GitHub installs are from the online repository of this package, and disk installs from the local file on your computer, which you can download from my website. I do recommend downloading the package from my website as it comes with the documentation. Also, please note that the dependencies of this package are the Unity Visual Effects Graph, Unity Shader Graph, and Unity Splines package. The Visual Effect Graph and Shader Graph packages are used for visualization, and the Spline package is used for the script I made to generate data for testing large amounts of data visualization, as well as to make the academic poster, which is another part of this module, just look nice. Clicking on Install from Disk opens a File Explorer window to browse for the package JSON file. It should be this one. All you have to do is click on Open. It's going to install the package. And keep in mind that installing from disk will leave the files where they are. They do not get moved to the Unity Projects Packages folder. And there we go, once installed, it will start compiling the scripts just added from the package. And hopefully, if it goes correctly, we shouldn't see any errors. If you do have any errors, then it's most likely that you're using an older Unity version than the package was built for, or the dependencies were not installed correctly. There we go. Nice. No errors. Okay, now, if the dependencies were not installed correctly, all you have to do is go into the Unity registry and search for the shader graph, which should be already installed as part of Unity 6. And the visual effect graph is installed, and the splines. There we go. As you see, it was installed as a dependency. I have now just uninstalled the package, and we're going to take a look at the GitHub installation. Now, same as before, go into the package manager, click on install package from git URL, and it's going to bring up a little input field for the URL. Now, to get this, in my package, this should be what you're getting, the documentation, a README, and the tool itself. In the README, on my second screen, 1 second. In the README, there's a few things here, this probably isn't final, but the GitHub repository link right here, go into my browser, and paste that in. Now that you're on the website, what you need to do is click on code and copy this, which you can copy with this. Just like that. Let's go back to Unity, open the package manager, and install from git URL. I'm just going to paste it in and install. When installing a package from GitHub, it actually does put it into the packages folder of the actual assets of your entire project, rather than staying where they were with the disk installation. Okay, now that it's installed, if installed correctly, we shouldn't see any errors. Nice. If we go to projects and then to the packages, we should see data analytics visualization. To use the tool, the first step is to create some event definitions. So I'm going to create a new folder here. Now I'm going to go into create, into data analytics visualization, and then into event definition. These define what kind of events the system is allowed to record, including things like the event ID, whether it captures position, and what variables it can store. So let's create a variable. Then we will create another. And I think actually I'm going to create another folder. Then I'm going to do another one. Next is to create the settings asset. This is the settings asset. This holds all of the event definitions and the main logger settings. So here are our event definitions. These are the two we just created. To choose both. Session prefix is what goes right before the UTC time in the XML file. Auto start session on awake, you'd want that unless you want to start it manually, and persist between scenes. So this will put it into the don't destroy and load scene. And the reason it's like that is essentially you would want you'd want it to stay alive in between scene loads because you wouldn't want the session to end abruptly. And then you can also choose where to export it. Now I've got that set to data analytics visualization, session database exports. You can also choose to make it log the analytics as well, whatever it is currently doing. Now the next thing to do is put the data analytics event logger in the scene and give it the settings asset. So I'm just going to create a cube, put that right in the middle of everything. What I'm going to do is go down here and put event logger. This is the one. And we're going to give it our settings file we just created. Now, this logger is the main runtime entry point for the whole system. From here, we would be creating a new script that will log events through the logger instance, which means this can be called by absolutely anything as long as there's one of them in the scene. So that means gameplay scripts can record things like movement, interactions, test events, along with position, any variables that need to be stored. Those events get grouped into a session, and then sessions are stored inside a session database. Once data has been recorded, the session database can be exported as an XML file. Okay, we now have our new test logger script. I don't need start. I want this to just call an input and tell that to log something. So, yes, let's start with adding the using. Now we want to do dav data analytics event logger dot instance dot log event now. Then we want our event definition. So let's throw this onto the next line. We'll do score events. Our current position. Then the game object. And then our variables. So we do new dav event var. So that will be just a string, and then the value, let's just say works, and then we'll do the other one, new dav score event var, that is test float, and this will just be 2 and 2.5. There we go. want to do DV data analytics event logger instance export and end current session to database XML. Go ahead and just do true and true. That is pretty much all you really need to do in terms of code. Save that and let Unity compile. Now that Unity has compiled, let's go into the cube we made earlier. Go down to here and we'll add the test logger. We're going to add our events in, like that. I'm going to open the console so we can see it happening in runtime. It's, as you can see, on awake has started an analytics session from these settings. Now if I press Q, yep, logged event ID in session at 6.38 seconds, which is the amount of time this session has since started. We have two variables, and now we do W, event ID 2. It's 18.67 seconds for two variables. I'm going to move it around, say, just like that, Q, W. Nice. Okay, and now we're going to press E. DAV session database XML, save to here. Very nice. Now let's end. Now, as you can see, there was no folder here before, but since it didn't have one, it created one. Here is the session database XML. I know, looks like a lot of stuff. Right, let's go into the scene view. Let's turn off this cube. And down here is our scene view overlay. Now the scene view overlay is a menu for the visualization side. So first things first, we need to collect our settings. We're going to browse, data analytics. There it is. Open that, click load. It has loaded. You can also turn off these help boxes too, which I won't do. Now I'm going to choose the session we want to do, and it's going to bring up a bunch of other things. So if there were multiple sessions, you better flick through them and choose which settings you want to affect. Now, you can also choose which ID we also want to do, but I'm just going to leave it on all. Now, we need to add a point cloud visualizer into the scene. So let's create an empty point cloud visualizer. And here, we're just going to add the point cloud visualizer script. Oh, no. There we go. So this also needs a visual effect. Add that one in, and this will be, sorry, 1 second. Go into the packages, into the into here, and drag that one in there. Just like that. Then we're going to click this, or you can just drag it in. Now make sure these stay the same. If you wanted to create your own versions, you can, of course, as long as when you go into here, you make sure that this is set to DAV visualization point. You'll come up with a position, a color, size, and an intensity. And then you can go ahead and do whatever you want. There is also a shader graph I made for this, which looks like this. You'll see in a moment. That. Let's go ahead and drag in our point cloud visualizer. And we're going to do event color. So that and that. Generate. Where is it? Here. Oh, they're not showing. Oh, there they are. So these are the points. So these are what we created from the cube. As you can see, it is quite bright. Let's go ahead and change that to variable color. An ID, and that will be test string. There we go. So these are the two event IDs that had the string, which was works. So that tells you what time, what UTC time, its position in the world, what scene it was in, the session it's a part of, and its event ID, and what object it came from too. You can do that on all of them. Now the other two won't show up because we are filtering by an event. So if we go into here and then we choose test bool, the other two will show up. It's like this. You can see their individual things too. I'm going to go into my package and go into the session database, and we'll go with this one, load XML, this session. These are my Yeah, these are my sample ones that you can take a look at. So that is the overall workflow. First thing is you're going to be making an event, making a settings file if you haven't already. You can just set up the logger, log the events, export the XML, import it through the overlay, and then expect the visual results. Now the code stuff. So in terms of code structure, the tool is split into a few parts. So we've got the runtime logging side, which handles event capture, sessions, and the session database. Then we have the data structure side, which is event definitions, runtime variables, session data, and imported database data. Then is export and import, which is the XMLs. So the recorded data can be saved and then loaded back in later. Then there is the visualization side, which converts the imported data into point cloud data and sends it to the visual effect graph. And then finally is the editor tooling side. Overall, the architecture is pretty modular. You know, the logging, storage, visualization stuff, all that, it's separated, so makes the tool easier to manage and extend. Yeah, well, that's everything I have to show. So all in all, this project shows a full Unity workflow for recording player behavior data and turning it into a visual representation that can be inspected inside the editor. Thank you for watching.